Decentralization is the only right way to move forward. This reform is ripe, because this is already a necessity and a requirement of time. The experience of foreign countries that it is necessary to amalgamate small settlements demonstrates this fact. Of course, it's a positive thing that we were granted greater powers, but if the state performed the functions that should have been performed with our functions, it would be much easier. The more united we are, the stronger we are. Decentralization reform is one of the most successful reforms in Ukraine, which should be continued. Not only Ukrainians, but also international partners are of this opinion. The very notion of decentralization means to grant more authority and more financing. Well, and of course it means a great responsibility for all the processes that take place. The reform of local self-government in Ukraine has gone along a difficult and thorny path, overcoming Soviet stereotypes, political populism and the desire to introduce changes only on paper. Real reform began only in 2014, in extremely difficult conditions when the start of Russian aggression in the east of Ukraine and the annexation of Crimea. Widespread decentralization of power opens up new opportunities for amalgamated territorial communities. Now reform is at the point of no return. For example, we took the path of optimization to simplification. To make it clear, there is one power in a certain region to which you can express all your wishes and submit any claims. It is responsible for all spheres of work. But having created the amalgamated territorial communities, we still have our regional councils and we still have regional administrations. And also, in some areas, several amalgamated territorial communities have been formed. And for today, the functions of state bodies are largely duplicated and their powers are gradually being stripped. Today, two amalgamated territorial communities function in the Ichnya Rayon. The first to be formed was the Parafiivka community. And in February 2017, the Ichnya town amalgamated territorial community was formed, which includes 51 settlements, 20 village councils and the Ichnya town council. You know, there were many pros and cons, but we decided that it would be better if we united into one community in one rayon. Since we somewhat succeeded in doing so, not as we had planned, both efficient and effective communities and less well-to-do communities joined together. All of our people are like relatives, so we are united and support those who desperately need such assistance in difficult times. The Ichnya community is one of the youngest in Ukraine, so the advantages and disadvantages cannot be spoken of, says the head of the village of Monastyrske, Grigory Zubar. For example, we face a major problem with providing fuel and lubricants for all of our chainsaws and lawn mowers. Actually, we always bought them for our own money. Now this issue is being resolved in a centralized manner. It has become easier to solve the problem of repairing street lighting. There are certain disadvantages, of course. We don't really like the fact that we have been stripped of the right to register a person's death. Because very often people apply, and they are typically senior citizens, so it is very difficult for them to get into the rayon center. Anyone who has ever visited the town of Ichnya before knows the local roads. There were almost none, but now the situation will change for better. This is already a major plus of decentralization reform. In addition to roads, each community has many other pressing issues that need to be addressed. We were preparing for the amalgamation, and one of the conditions was that in each village council there should be some kind of project, some kind of communal services. We developed a water supply project from Hmyryanka to Ichnya, and the second project, which was drafted later when we united, was the design of the pumping station of second water lifting to provide the residents of the village of Hmyryanka with water.
села Гмирянки водою.
And the state allocated about 2 million hryvnias to improve the supply of water to the pumping station.
Мільйонів гривень на водогін і на насосну станцію.
The Ichnya rayon is rich in natural resources. There's oil, gas, bischofite, clay and sand deposits and forest resources. Therefore, there is something to work on. Our community is an agricultural region, a sufficiently powerful agricultural region. We develop not only crop production, but are also engaged in animal husbandry and processing. Therefore, it is necessary to put things in order in these spheres. Also, the Ichnya county is very interesting for tourists. I believe that this is an underestimated region of our country. We have such pearls as the towns of Ichnyanskaya and Trostyanets. Here nearby are the town of Baturin, the Hanna Deserts and Hostenia Monastery. That is, with proper and efficient transportation links, a proper infrastructure and the presentation of these facilities, Ichnya rayon can have much greater potential. In order to develop and live well, we need funding, and for this we need to fill the budget. One of the ways to fill the budget I would still consider maybe even some non-standard ways. For example, near the village of Monastyrske, not so far away, there is a geothermal place where we can establish an excellent balneological institution. I do not know exactly what the depth of the water is, but I know there are such facts that the water temperature there is about 90 degrees, and it is oversaturated with salts. Therefore, it should be optimal resource for curative healing. In August, at a session of the City Council, the development strategy of the Ichnya town Amalgamated territorial community for the period until 2029 was approved. In the future, it is planned to implement 74 projects. One of the important ideas is the ecological and hydrological improvement of the Ichnyanskaya river. For a long time, no work was done in order to clean the stream. Therefore, appropriate measures will improve the aesthetic look of the central part of the city, as well as create conditions for the arrangement of new places of recreation, and will contribute to the development of tourism. Project cost is about 7 million hryvnias. There are many other important plans that also need to be realized. We have a social program that we adopted at the end of the year. And today we know what the main priorities are that we are capable of fulfilling. For example, we took into account all of the needs and wishes of our acting heads and have made acquisitions for our communal services before amalgamation of the territorial community, and then after the creation of a small transport maintenance park. We purchased equipment for a water utility, which today works both in the city and in villages. We support schools, kindergartens and park areas. We are also installing playgrounds for children. Education is the foundation of development and the future of any community. Now 17 schools, 14 institutions of preschool education, 3 extracurricular institutions and a training and production center are under the management of the Ichnya community. The decentralization reform in education will make sense and will only succeed when the community in which it is created becomes financially stable. When the budget is filled, then we can work full steam ahead and fulfill our tasks. On the territory of the county, there's also the urban-style settlement Druzhba, which was damaged as a result of explosions at the military arsenal last year. The disposal of ammunition on the territory of the military unit continues to these days. The City Council, together with volunteer organizations, is rendering all possible assistance to the residents of the village, who claim that it is impossible to do all the necessary work on their own. Among the 100 million hryvnias that the cabinet allocated for the repair of damaged buildings and for the purchase of housing, almost 91 million returned to the state budget. We had an emergency situation in October 2018. Of course, it took us a lot of time to resolve this emergency. All those forces that were assigned to emergency issues could have been used to achieve certain goals. But I think our community is united and will catch up with all the time that we have lost. And we will present those projects that we have developed today. And we have devised a major, all-encompassing plan for the successful development of our community in the future. On September the 14th, Ichnya celebrated the day of the liberation of the city from the Nazi occupiers. Celebrations, a gala concert and a fair took place in the central square of the city. Competitions and games for children were held in the city park. People had a rest, enjoying tasty food, beverages, song and dance. This holiday once again shows our unity and our uniqueness. I wish all our residents the best of health and success in the future. I wish everyone good health and strength to restore our state, Ukraine, and eternal peace on our land. But the real holiday will be when the territory of Donbas and Crimea will be free and our Ukraine will be truly independent. Glory to Ukraine! I want to see a united community, so that people are happy and cheerful.
The
Ichnya Amalgamated Territorial Community in the future means a capable community with a decent and safe standard of living, say local dwellers. A community where infrastructure is actively developing, small and medium-sized businesses flourish, and investments are attracted. A community in which you want to live, work in, and have children. This is exactly how residents of the region see the future.